Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sociable Chemist podcast. I'm your host, Professor Ajay. Today, I am joined by a good friend of mine and somebody that I consider a heavyweight in academia, and that person is Professor Willie Chinyamurindi, who is a professor of organizational behavior at the University of Fort Hare. He is a National Research Foundation C2-rated researcher. That's a big deal in academia, by the way. His scholarship sits at the intersection of school to work transitions, careers, employability, decent work, entrepreneurship, and mental health in an African context. He is particularly interested in how young people, workers, and entrepreneurs navigate structural constraints, institutional arrangements, and socioeconomic inequalities in the global south. His work is characterized by strong theoretical plurality, methodological innovation, especially the use of narrative, qualitative, and mixed method, and a consistent commitment to African-centered knowledge production. I am so excited about this conversation, and I want him to come back. Before we even talk, I want Willie to be coming back. My friend, welcome to this podcast. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine. I work at the University of Fort Hare. You must have a bit of resilience there. It's hectic stuff. But I'm okay. I'm okay. It's the usual stuff, teaching, supervision, and grant funding applications, journal writing, rejections here and there, a few successes to note. Yeah.
So, as we start now, what I wanted to sort of find out from you was what led to your research? What was it that interests you in what you're doing now? Sort of your background. Did you always know? Because I know in high school we don't really have an idea where we're going.
Yeah.
Even in undergrad. But when did the lights go on for you to say, right, this is what I want to do?
For me, academia was probably by accident because yes, there was an inclination in high school to think of, I would love to be a professor one day, but I didn't know what that meant. I just thought, you know what, it's an accolade, it's a title to live by. And then when I made the transition from high school in Zimbabwe, coming to then it was called the University of Port Elizabeth. There were three people that came in my path. The first one was a professor, and I'll mention his name, Peter Cunningham. Now, what he did was one Friday, he said to me he's working on literature reviews, systematic literature reviews. I didn't know what that is. Just systematic literature reviews. So I said, okay. He says, I read some of your assignments that you've done for my class. I would like you to come and assist me to do those systematic literature reviews. So Friday afternoons when other university students are preparing for Friday on campus,
the groove, the groove.
The walls are shaking with the music. I would be in a building with Professor Cunningham. And one of the things I admired was he had all these trophies in his office.
Wow.
Of best paper. And I'm like, oh, best paper. What is a best paper?
Yeah.
What is a best paper? Is it any, that time I'm thinking of the paper, what makes it,
exactly, the bank.
And then I would ask questions. Prof, what was this for? No, I went to Saudi Arabia or somewhere he presented. So he gave me that chance. Then the second person was another lecturer. And I think somewhere in the story, I think we must also reflect on lecturers who give their students a chance.
Yes,
there was a lady, Feiruz Abrams, honors class. I even wrote a whole chapter about it in one of Professor Jonathan Janssen's book about best South African teachers. And I was late for class, my honors class, because I still was in Zimbabwe getting a visa to come to, and I arrived a week late. And And she looked at me arriving at class. She just said with a warm welcome, come in, take a seat.
Yeah.
And so I knew that somewhere down the line, all of these people were in my life for a purpose. And that
Yeah.
was to just excite this curiosity about academia. And then the third person I would say who also contributed to all of this was my mom. She
Yes.
probably would be the one who created some of these opportunities. As you know, I studied in Ireland and I went to the UK for the PhD. And that was
Yes.
also exciting
Yes.
because it's a phase where I could interact with world class scholars. So by the
Yes.
time I
Yes.
came
Yes.
back, I knew what I wanted to be. I knew how to apply for a research grant and Forte was a nice arriving field. And maybe fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know. I've been at Forte for 14 years now. Never gone anywhere
Wow.
else. And it's
There's no
also it's
reason
also
to for
nice.
you. Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's no reason to. There's a reason why we all stay. I think that's one thing that's similar about you and
Yeah.
I. There's always something that
But but
really.
but you also want to say in the 14 years, there have been opportunities elsewhere. And this is where somebody
Yes.
reminded me the other day to say, I would like to ask you a question one day. Why have you stayed?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
guess maybe it also offers the convenience of being with my family.
Yeah.
And I can still do school runs, go for matches and be there and but I think also the institution has gone through a lot over the past couple of years,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm also happy with some of the things that have happened at Forte. Some of the things obviously have concern
Changes, would you say?
changes. Yeah, yeah. I think that the
Yeah.
biggest change is that I think if you've seen the latest rankings that have come out,
Yes.
we have performed uh, above the national average. So, meaning we head
Yes.
to head with your big universities, we are doing well in terms of
Yes.
research output.
Yes, it's
So, that
growing.
for me is great. I mean, a growing postgraduate cohort that's always coming every year. I think that's one of the reasons I enjoy
Yes.
about
Yes.
Forte,
Yes.
my postgraduate students, most of whom are funded
Yeah.
in one way or the other. So it's also nice to deliver a quality product because there are people who are willing to invest in the students. Yeah,
No, you're one of them because I remember when I first met you at SciES, I was like in awe of you.
yeah,
You always spoke with authority and confidence. And before we even spoke, I was intrigued because I was looking at you
yeah,
that I don't think you studied here. That was my
yeah,
thinking. And
yeah.
in when you went to Ireland, because you've been abroad and you did
Mm,
study here, what would you say those experiences, how did they all prepare you? And what of the differences would you say
yeah.
in the institutions of higher learning in where
Mm.
you've been, and how they sort of prepared you to be where you are now?
The first thing I'll tell you about Ireland is I failed to get a PhD in Ireland
Oh
because I
man.
went there to enroll for a PhD. I had done a master's here and I was confident that I just had a huge culture shock. I also
Yes.
had struggles just getting to do the work and understanding what the work was about. So after 2 years being
Yeah.
in the system, my supervisor then approached me and says, "Look, this is not working. You're supposed to be converting to a PhD. So at best, what we're going to give you is another MPhil."
Yes.
And I said, well, it's better than nothing. I took the option not to convert to a PhD because I think they'd made it very clear that it wasn't going to happen.
How did you feel?
So,
How did you feel when this, and was this the first time you would say you felt
yeah,
academically? How did you feel about it?
it was gut wrenching. It was gut wrenching because I was one of those who put in the hours. I was the
Yeah.
first in the lab, first out, last one out. I did all the work that a student does,
Yeah.
but I just think part and parcel of the challenge, it was a funded project in which there was a topic that had been
Mm.
set. But I want to say while this was a disappointment, it then opened up a door because it was a MPhil which was largely based on the field of strategic management.
All
I think
right.
subsequently my current expertise within Fort Hare is within strategic management, which is quite interesting because when I went to do the PhD in the UK, it was easy then
Yes.
to merge aspects of, yeah. So I think the setback in itself, yes, it wasn't a nice feeling. But when I look at it
Yeah.
now, I think sometimes we have to go through our own Irish moments to then experience the
It's
summer
true.
of our careers. And I then said I was going to do justice to that particular study, publish from it, and use some
Yeah.
of the expertise now. But I would think there's a little bit of trauma for me to.
I can
I've had
imagine.
opportunities to go for a conference in Ireland, and
Mm,
I don't think I'm ready for that
you're
yet.
not
I'm just
interested.
no. I think it.
Yeah.
I mean, you get there, funnel, and if summer had 90 days, it
Mm.
rained for 53 of those days, 42 of those days consecutive rain.
Listen,
And
knowing you and your personality, you're a socialite. You want to see people.
no, I
So
wanted to be outdoors. Yes,
exactly, you
it
want
was
to see
just
people.
yes, it was. But then I think the nice part is that then another angle we can talk about is where opportunities lie. So
Yeah.
every Tuesday, when I was going to campus, I would stop over at a bookshop in Ireland, in Dublin. I stayed in Dublin 6. So I would stop over at a bookshop, a newspaper outlet, and buy a newspaper called The Guardian. It's still there. It's a
Oh,
British newspaper.
yes.
So the Guardian on a Tuesday had a supplement which they called the education supplement. So on this Tuesday, I got the Guardian. I got on a bus to campus and I'm reading, and then boom, there was
Wow.
an advert in there. One of the universities in the UK was looking for people interested in studying for a PhD on a fully funded PhD studentship. And then I said, look, I've received bad news from the supervisor.
Yes.
Quickly got to campus, put together a proposal. And you know what? Some proposals come through at that particular moment. You
The
just put
pressure,
together.
under pressure.
And those skills that I learned, I probably learned a
Yeah.
lot about qualitative research in Ireland. And then sent it through. I got an email response in 2 weeks' time. Would like to
Oh
meet
my
you.
gosh.
And then now I was on a student budget, so I couldn't fly from Dublin to Luton Airport. So I took a ferry. Now the ferry would
Wow.
dock in Ireland, so it leaves at 6 in the evening. So you're on the
Yeah.
boat, and then it travels through the island, and then it arrives in Wales, and it stops in Wales, and then
Oh
for you
my
to get
word.
from Wales to Milton Keynes, where I was, you have to take a bus. So it would then become like a bus ride between East London and Cape Town. So after
My
being on a
friend.
ferry,
So you
and
see,
there you
Africa prepared you. Africa prepared you for that journey.
and yeah, and I was on that bus, and like with many other people on the bus, you could see people where some were going to London, different hopes and dreams. I got to Milton Keynes. My mom was waiting for me because she's based in the UK. I freshened
Yeah.
up. We had a breakfast. I went straight for the interview, and there are some interviews where you know that this is your one opportunity, and
Yes.
you got there and did my thing, and stayed over a bit with family, got the ferry back to Ireland. And when I
My
got back
friend.
to Ireland, as soon as I arrived to Ireland, bam, there was an email. And I
Really?
think there were three supervisors: Kirsty Ball, Ruslan Ramanau, and Caroline Ramsey are going to be your supervisors. You'll be
Yes.
starting at this particular time. So now I had to pack whatever little things that I had gathered there because I had now a
Yes.
second bite at the PhD, and I knew
Yo.
what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and I knew that this time I had to get it right.
No
And
matter
I think that
what.
yes, and then I remember when I started the first 3 months, I got called into a meeting. So, having gone through the Irish experience, the trauma, I said, "Oh gosh, what have I done this time?" So I got to the meeting, and I'm told, "Listen, we are very worried about you." And I'm like, "What is my work bad? What? No, 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 no. You are basically 3 months into this thing, but you've done work with 7 to 8 months. So we are concerned that you are working too hard." And at that
Yes.
particular time, I was always again the first one in because I had one last bite at it.
Exactly.
So, so they said, "Look, so we would like to propose something. We want to give you some money. Um, go to South Africa where you're going to be collecting your data. Go and do a pilot study. Come back because you're already ahead of progress." And then
Yes.
that was the validation I needed to that, you know what, I think I'm doing great work on this thing. And then when I
Yeah.
came back a few weeks ago, I spoke at an event at UNISA. I took a picture 16 years ago. No, yeah, 16, yeah.
I
And then
saw
I took the
that.
same picture. Now, from that time, I was collecting data for my PhD,
Yeah.
and this time coming back to UNISA as a
Exactly
professor.
at the
So
same spot. I saw that was
same
actually,
spot,
that really
yes,
moved me. That
yeah,
moved me when I
same
saw
spot,
that
yeah,
how time
yeah.
flies and how one
Time flies,
grows within that time.
yes,
You know?
yeah,
You
definitely.
spoke about strategic management. What is that? What is strategic management?
Strategic management is a discipline of study that is concerned with traditionally issues of planning, making sure that we have sufficient resources and means to be able to uh, uh, prepare for the future, which is an uncertain future. I think
Oh,
the word we like to use is the VUCA, which is it's volatile, it's uncertain,
yeah.
there's complexity, and it's an ambiguous type of future. So within strategic management, it's our way of trying to say, while there's all these unknown variables, we can, through the resources we have inside an organization, the people, the money, the plans that we make, what we call the
Yeah.
horizon, make effort to anticipate that particular future. So it's like me and you sitting right here now and say, the next 5 years, what would you like to be?
Yeah.
And then you start preparing for that future, channeling resources means if it's skills you need, you start doing that so that you prepare for that uncertain future. Yeah.
Because I know that you mentioned that, I mean, in our talks, obviously, that your work also focuses on the transition from school to work.
Yeah.
Why is this a very important transition period for young people, would you say? And also, does that, the question that I'm asking you, also form part of the strategic management?
So let me say I wear two hats. My work kind of fits in two hats. First
Okay.
of all, my background is in industrial psychology. So
Okay.
I'm interested in work psychology, issues related to work. But I'm also then occupying another hat where I'm interested in strategic management. So I've managed to try and fuse that. And so my work is concerned around a concept called dynamic capabilities, which is
All
basically
right.
those things that help us to function better. And I've narrowed that in terms of people in organizations and society. So when
All
I focus
right.
mostly on school to work transition, I think it's a very crucial period because it's an uncertain period
Oh, yeah.
for many young people.
Yes.
And we get to meet those students in our classes, students in our so-called HDI context, who are the first in their generation to come to university,
Yes.
who are probably the first in some cases to use a computer, the first to, to do all these things that we often take for granted. So my interest in that is from a human capital point of view, that we must be paying attention at developing those skills in the as part of that transition, because that's the future workforce that we've got. Those
Yeah.
kids that you see in Kaelicha, Langa, Guguletu, are
Mm.
basically the future workforce of the entire country and the world for that matter. So if we can get the school to work transition part right, I
Yeah.
think we are likely going to get more skilled people in organizations who are very responsive to challenges that organizations face. Of course, there is a challenge. I think our schools, some are well resourced, others are not.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know of the work, with the work I do, sometimes I get called into schools in townships like in Dansane, where
Yeah.
I meet students who are struggling because of resources, but they're doing very well in terms of their
Yes.
performance in the metric
Yeah.
examinations and so
Yeah.
forth. So
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
and parcel of our responsibilities as academics and members of the scientific
Mm.
community is to also be concerned about those cohorts, those young people.
Yeah.
Mm, mm.
Tell me one thing. When you talk about skills, what do you think those skills which are needed? What are those skills? And just on the back of that, when you look at employability, what misconception do young people have about employability? Whether it's in South Africa or just in in Africa as a continent.
A misconception is on the issue of so-called soft skills. Soft
Yes.
skills is the ability to, like, holding a conversation like what we are doing right now. Soft
Yeah.
skills, waking up in the morning and telling yourself these are things that you need to do, assertiveness, goal setting. And the
Yeah.
misconception is that I am studying for a BCom accounting. The
Yeah.
most important skills I need are the ones that I'm learning as part of the BCom accounting. But I think there's also room that we must make for you know that moment when you wake up, Fanelwa, those first 20 minutes in when you're in bed thinking, okay, how's the day going to look? Am I going to get up and still make a something out of it? So
Yeah.
I've written quite a lot about soft skills. I think we underestimate the value of soft skills. We
Yes. Yes.
underestimate the
Yes.
value of
Yes.
certain
Yes. Yes.
skills that we don't get in the classroom, skills that we get in doing an assignment with your fellow classmates, and the
Yes.
communication, the negotiation, skills that we often get. I mean, there are organizations that develop public speaking skills, communication skills, and those are skills that we underestimate. And so my wish is that people realize that there's no such thing as a bad skill. And I think within the current era of AI,
Yes.
we're learning that because there's a lot going on. In terms of your other part of your question, which says, what are the skills of the future? You know, I think there's going to be a necessity to still balance between what the technology offers and what we humans still can contribute. So if you are a
Yeah.
boss at work and everybody's talking about streamlining using technology and all of that, that's great.
It's scary.
But there
Yeah.
still needs that human interface, that human relation aspect to say, um, I still want to converse with a warm body to say, I can't work because of this condition I've got, but I still want to become
Yeah.
a
I want to
productive asset of the,
contribute.
yes.
I want
And
to
and that person
contribute.
to understand, to say, well, let's give this person a chance. So I think we are still needed in the future as human beings. We are very much needed.
I often hear people say that, that argument applies to socialites, people like us that want to be social, we want to talk and learn from other people, we always want to listen. So,
Uh,
do you think it's a fair argument when they say that? Because I always get so defensive. I feel like I get so defensive when I say, no, 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 no. It's important for people to look at each other and talk.
Yeah. Well, you're one of the coolest chemists I know who can hold up a conversation.
Thanks.
because you know what, like take our experiences in the academy, South African Young Academy of Science. You get
Yes.
to meet very different people, people from physics. So one of the first things which was always
Yes.
tough for me when we first met in that group was trying to read people.
Yeah.
I often, we are social scientists, so we love interacting, talking to people.
Yes.
But there were people who were very much reserved. They got the task done, So
Yeah.
I think that there's room for and space for every one of these alter egos that we've got.
Mm.
There's a time when
Yes,
we need to be
yes, yes,
sociable,
yes,
and I've
yes,
learned it as
yes.
a researcher. There's a time I think you need a balance between the task and the people.
Mm,
If you
mm,
can
mm,
strike a
mm.
balance between the two, I think there are people who are great at working with other people, but they are poor at
True,
getting the task done.
true,
And there are also
true.
people who are good at getting the task done with
Yeah,
very poor people skills that even
yeah,
people
yeah. And you,
wonder to
you, you get
say,
shocked at work, eh? You get shocked.
exactly. Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
shocked.
And then when you're a leader, you need a balance between those two facets, because for me, I've been HOD in yeah in taught
Yeah.
here, and that's one of the things that I've learned about the people and the task. You can still be
Mm,
loved
mm,
by
mm.
everybody, but not getting the task done.
Exactly,
So the
exactly,
balance is
exactly.
important. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So on the topic of soft skills, like you say,
Mm,
what do you think the core thing university should be focusing on in training our young people? Because there's a lot of socioeconomic conditions that our young
mm.
people face in this country. Within that training, what should it be? And in your experience, what are these very difficult socioeconomic conditions that young people have in South Africa and in Africa? Because I
Mm.
mean, Africa is the same. Our communities
Yeah.
are basically the same. You know, maybe the languages may be
Mm.
different, but I think the manner in which we live may be the same. So, what are those conditions that our young people come from? And what is the role of universities in training
So,
to get these people
so,
employable?
mm. So let's start with Africa. So I'm
Yeah,
one of those who, when an opportunity to go to a conference comes up,
yeah,
I'm not going to queue to go to the States, to Australia,
yeah.
to New Zealand. No.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I I travel the African continent. So in the last 14 years, I would
Yes.
tell you Rwanda, Uganda, Nigeria, Tanzania, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Swaziland, you name all these
Yeah.
countries, Ethiopia. So what I have seen and what I've learned in those spaces, especially working with young people, is our countries may be different, but the
Mm.
ideals are the same. All of these countries want their young people to do well. That's one of
Yeah.
the most important ideals. But there's something that's also of concern. You cannot separate matters of national governance to socioeconomic development.
Mm.
So right
Mm.
now, a
Mm. Mm.
majority of these African countries are sitting on a time bomb. And that
Yeah.
time bomb has to do with matters that are pressing to young people.
Yeah.
So when riots happen in Nairobi, for instance,
Mm.
in one way or the other, it has to do with unemployment, um,
Yes.
young people not getting opportunities. So young people want opportunities. Young people want opportunities to shape the world. I think one country of excitement to me is Rwanda. When you're in
Mm.
Rwanda, you can just see what some of the wonderful things that are happening, although there's high unemployment as well. But they unite around activities like a day where everybody is involved in cleaning their environment,
That's amazing.
where they are doing that as a way of fostering a sense of citizenship, belonging to that particular
Yes.
country,
Yes.
albeit the problems that are there. So young people want opportunities, and I think one of the ways that African governments can respond, there are two ways they can respond: repression, suppression, or
Yeah.
they can create opportunities for young people to be part of it. And where do we fit in as academics? Well, the work that I'm currently doing right now in some of the partnerships that we're in is also
Yeah.
working capacity building with African academics, also learning from them, bring all them over to South Africa, exchange of
Mm.
ideas, take some of our students to these places to also learn
Mm.
what's happening there. So we must create opportunities for young people.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't, we are sitting on a time bomb. And I think
Hey.
that's a common thing in every African country.
I mean,
And that's a scary thought.
It's a scary thought, and to often see now it's becoming very often to see graduates at traffic lights with
Yeah,
boards.
yeah,
I get so sad when I see that because for that child with the qualification that they worked 3 or 4 years to attain, and for them
yeah.
to write that board out and stand there for hours trying to
Mm,
garner attention from
mm.
passerbyers, it must be very strenuous emotionally. It's very
It
sad.
definitely is, yeah. But also, if you look at the expanded definition of unemployment in South Africa at the moment, it inculcates another dimension: those that have given up looking for work.
So, is
So
that
there,
now part of the definition? I'm learning
yes,
here.
that's the
Ah,
expanded definition of unemployment. Where
wow.
so whenever Stats SA releases the stats, what we call the quarterly labor force survey results, um, they always are sure to mention that this is the expanded definition, and the expanded definition talks to those who are actively seeking for employment, but it also talks about
Wow.
those who have given up looking for work, who have just said, "There's no hope for me. Why should I
There's nothing,
bother?"
yeah, why should I bother?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's a
that's
sad place to
also
find
it's
yourself,
a
eh?
sad place to find yourself in. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Really, now we're talking about this because obviously this would cause somebody to sink into a mental health, and I know mental health is
Mm,
becoming a hot topic now in our institutions, various corporations as well. What is the importance of, having good mental health, or let me say mental health well-being? And
yeah.
how does it influence career development? And also, how does it influence long term success? Whether it's a
Yeah.
good or whether it's a bad mental health situation that one finds themselves in.
Yeah. So there's a story around the work I'm doing on mental health because almost I think about 10 years ago, I saw a call by the South African Medical Research Council for something they call the self-initiated research.
Oh, yes,
So
yes, yes.
I was from I thought SAMRCs were you guys, the
Yeah.
chemists and micro whatever people. And then I wrote a grant and I said, look, I want to study issues related to mental health in the public service. And I
Yeah.
think the motivation by that was actually at that particular time when I was teaching at Forte, I was also servicing a campus in Bisho. And Bisho had mostly government
Oh,
employees. So I would be inundated by
oh,
people saying, Prof, I couldn't come to your class last week because or two
yeah.
weeks ago, I was admitted at St. Mark's. And
Oh,
I'm
my
admitted at
word.
St. Mark's. So I started finding out St. Mark's is this type of a hospital with people with these challenges. And so I wrote this grant and I stepped into the domain of trying to understand issues related to mental health, particularly in the public service. Of course, then there was another big turning point in
Mm.
academia. You would know because a stone throw away from you guys would be
Yeah.
UCT. And if you remember
Mhm.
Professor Bongani Mayosi and the
Yes.
experiences he went through. And then when we were in the academy,
Yes.
one of
Yes.
the things we started talking about more was about taking care of our mental health as early career scholars.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the answer to your question is I think our mental health is the most important thing that we should walk away with from the
Mm.
institutions that we work with. Most of times
Man.
we compromise our mental health
Yes.
to keep uh, heads of department, deans, DVCs, VCs happy.
Everybody
Under the
happy.
guise, you're productive. You're
Everybody
bringing in
happy.
this, but not yourself. And that's what I've just learned in the last couple of years that you're replaceable. That's one thing
But
that
what should we do? I'm asking this because I saw a clip of this young lady
yeah,
crying online the other day, and I thought
yeah,
I saved it
Northwest.
because,
Mm,
yes, so
yes.
it broke my heart, and I thought I saved it, but I don't know what, I feel like I want to help her, but I don't know how. what should we do to prevent ourselves from getting to that point? But then again, is it possible for us not to get to that point?
Yeah.
Because we work with different personalities.
Yeah. The sad part, Fanelo, is that our institutions have adopted a very neoliberal type of way of working. We are units. We are there to get success to the institution in one way or the other. And if it means your mental health. I mean, in that video, what the cry was about also was the turnaround time for marking. I know very well that I'm told here are 200 scripts that you've marked. They've written an exam. You have a 5-day turnaround time.
Yes. And then
to get those scripts in.
Yeah.
And then it's up. And then you still have to do the whole publish or perish notion of saying, oh, you're not publishing enough. Nowadays, they are now no longer talking about not publishing. You're not publishing in certain journals. They want you to publish in those journals. So the approach that much of what the modern university is based on, it's based on a model that is there to get more out of us.
Yeah.
As part of the university, I mean, you can talk about rankings. The university gains success from us. The more we do that, we are wasting away. We are wasting away because we are the ones who have to sit sometimes long hours behind a desk. We have to deal with toxic bosses. We have to deal with being misunderstood. We have to deal sometimes being overlooked for opportunities. We have to deal with being all sorts of things that are happening.
All sorts of things. And my worry is even when you're not well, sometimes you're not even fully understood. There's also this notion that you may be making this up.
Yeah.
Now you wonder, why would somebody think that? And you waste time thinking about that rather than trying to sort yourself out. I was really worried about this lady.
Yeah, that I reached out to a friend who knows and works in the same institution, and
thank you.
I would love one day that you could reach out to her as well, that she could also be part of this conversation.
Yes.
Because as a professor, some of the things that keep me awake at night are those pressures that are institutional.
Yes.
Pressures around turnaround time. You've got 5 days to mark all these scripts.
Yeah.
Pressures around publish or perish. Pressures around...
you see, this notion of publish and perish, I want you to touch on that when you finish that point. Because it feels like academics are jumping ship. They're going to industry.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, but some are saying that this is just a bit too much. You know, you have to do community engagement, you have to do institutional leadership, you must teach, you must research, you must mark, people must graduate here, you must bring in money, you know?
Yeah. So a dimension I could bring to you, because we mentioned about the experiences I've had in Ireland and in the UK. Academics, they sometimes when we're interacting and talking they ask you, so, you know, how many papers have you published? And sometimes because we are chasing numbers, people go for many. It was this financial return for the institution, in some cases for the researcher into their research account. Someone from Canada said to me, we don't get paid to publish. We publish for the love of science and for the love of the work that we do. Now, I am not sure, and that's a debate we can have in our context to say, what does that mean? But you cannot separate the capitalist nature in which some of our universities are operating as a model base, and how it has led to some of the challenges that we're currently experiencing. My take is I think there should be room and space to allow people to still make a contribution with the work that we do. So we've got a lot of papers that get published every year.
Yeah.
but those papers translate to little or no value in terms of
Yes.
policy, in terms of
Mm.
practice, but they just are hanging and floating in the
They
academic
float.
space of theoretical contributions and all of that. We are more than just about theoretical contributions. We should be about communities.
You say that, eh? I have a colleague who, like, he just gets very upset about this whole research thing. He just wants to teach. And this
Yeah,
guy can teach. This guy can
yeah,
teach. This guy
yeah,
understands his chemistry. Whatever you give him, he understands his thing. He just wants to teach.
yeah,
So
yeah,
now he doesn't understand, why can't he just be graded on what he's good at? And I can understand
yeah,
his point, because he's saying that I'm good at this. I know how to do it. Why do I then need to do these other things in order for me to be promoted? And
yeah.
then obviously,
And
we have to explain
so
the
I'm on the
university
other end.
rules.
I I
Yeah.
want I just want to do research, and I was joking with a colleague of mine today, and I told him that, oh boy, I wish I had a job as a research professor,
Yeah.
where my job is to do research, source funding for my students, and encourage early career scholars to write. And not that I hate teaching, but
Yes.
I think maybe it's a nice model to have a university which is based on a division of labor where people, and if
Yes.
you're an all-rounder, well, that you can do whatever you want to do. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're good at both, why not? But I
Why
think
not?
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, our greatest challenge is so much that our universities expect us to be the all-rounded academics. You should be able to do everything and still do community engagement, service
Yes.
leadership, and all of those other things, which
Exactly.
it's
Do,
tough. It's tough to
tell
balance.
me tell me what you think. Do you think what would be an ideal university or an ideal organization where a person, an employee or an academic would feel well supported and the the mental health being taken care of? What would
Yeah.
be an ideal situation if you had to do something about it?
First of all, I would allow people to work remotely. I
Oh.
would allow people to say, I would say to people, um, be on campus where you have to teach to support the students. If you want
Yes.
to take time to go and be with your child as they are playing a soccer match or something, let's
Yes.
allow for that. I mean, however we choose to see it, that by allowing people to have that autonomy and trusting people, you are actually
Yes.
benefiting
Yes.
because
Yes. Yes. Yes.
people are free, more mental health, and they can exercise and do whatever they want. So change the modality of working. Let's debunk the idea that productivity happens when you're in the confines of the university building.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
one.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Number two, I would instill that research on a research side, we really rethink about what is the output of a research project. I think we can have a dissertation, a
Okay.
thesis, fine, but I would also love to see more community-based participatory methods. Like
Yeah.
this project is based in working with people in this particular community, and this is the benefit that the project has had for the community. And more than just, I've published 3 papers from it, which in some cases, this
Yeah.
is the irony. Somebody has written about Mdansane,
Yeah.
and then they go and publish or they want to publish in a journal, which is an American journal, where people don't even know what
Yes.
a township is.
They don't even care. For me, it's
They
that
don't
they
even
don't even
care.
care. They
Yeah,
don't even care.
yeah.
They don't even
And
care.
then, and we literally dying to get into these journals with little or no understanding of what we do. So let's change the funding landscape also. I would love to see more funding being dedicated to early career scholars. I would love to see more young people being given opportunities to learn and develop themselves more fully. I'll say something controversial. I don't think professors should be competing with funds in a university with early career scholars. I think professors need to go and look for their own money
I think I agree with you there.
because if you're going to compete with me, and here you are, you've just started, and I know how to write, you're probably struggling to do so.
Yes.
Um, it doesn't work. And then my
Yes.
last one, I would love institutions to have daycare centers
Oh.
where in some cases some of the I'm a member of the institutional forum. Some of the members who we talk to are cleaners, security guards who have to leave early in the morning, leave their
Yes.
kids who have to go to faraway places to go to school, and then they meet in the evening, and it's winter, sunsets quickly and early. Um, I would love our institutions to be more responsive to the societal issues that we and you and I face: mental health,
Yeah.
daycare provision, time off work, decent working conditions, and even time to just have time for ourselves as
Just
people.
time for yourself. Just time for
Yes, yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Tell me, is disability in higher education understood? And I'm asking that in terms of, is higher education able to cater well for people with disability? Okay, I'll use an example. I'll use an example as myself. Okay, if I'm a chemist and have mobility issues, I will most likely not want to go to the lab more often, because I've got mobility issues. I need to be moving around in the lab. Maybe somebody, I don't know, somebody in a wheelchair is obviously
Yeah.
seen, but they are hidden. Disabilities, mental health is one of those that is hidden unless maybe somebody declares, and some other chronic conditions.
Yeah.
Is higher education ready, or do they understand how to manage such people in their employ?
Look, I think there have been great strides and great improvements. I will tell you, when I first started teaching, I used to teach in a building which had 2 stories. And
Yeah.
then we had to go up. And then there was this one student who had a physical disability who literally struggled. And we made the institution be aware of that. And they were quite
Yeah.
responsive to say, maybe let's move the classes to a lower level so that the building where the classes are happening. I think the modern form of disability awareness is where my concern is: mental
Yeah.
health related issues. Um, One way or the other, we are dealing with a context where we have people who are autistic, people
Yes.
who are ADHD, people who have got one form of challenge or
Yeah.
yes, that affects them. And I think that modern one, responsiveness of it is somewhat a little bit of a concern. I think it's shunned upon because stigma is probably the greatest enemy that we've got in challenging those
Yes.
issues. But in terms of
Yes.
mobility, I mean, recently we were celebrating the purchase of buses by the institution, and
Wow.
those buses all had access for people living with a disability so that they could also be on the buses. And I think that was a great stride. But I think
Yes.
sometimes something so simple, I'll give you an example. Like the other day, a student came to me and said, I can't write on this type of paper
Yeah.
because the booklet was white. The student said, can the
Oh,
booklet be a different color? And kudos to those types of students because they raise our awareness to things that we take for granted.
yes.
So now we are aware when we're about to go to the exam period, we ask people to say, well, please do tell us, Are
Yeah.
there things that you want? I mean, the other day I saw a keyboard, which is for disability friendly, with huge prints on it. And
Wow.
the lady was explaining to me that, well, that's what we do. We are there to find out
Yeah.
how do we make life easy for students, particularly in lecture hall. So, for instance, sound. There are some
Yes.
students who can't stand a microphone that's too loud in a lecture hall or can't hear.
Mm,
So we
mm.
must also keep up. But I think, in
With
my experience,
changes.
we're quite responsive.
Mm,
But I
mm.
think we need to also be equally responsive to the modern form of,
Of
I use this
disability.
carefully,
Mm.
modern, but it's always been there. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel that there's also the same kind of response to employees as well? Us now as academics, do you feel
Mm.
that institutions are dealing with us? Because I feel that post-COVID, a lot of us are changed.
Mm.
Many people are changed. The isolation, infections caused a lot of changes in people. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are our institutions really responding, or maybe there needs to be a slight shift in the way we need to be responded to
Yeah.
if we are not well?
I think with matters of physical challenges, yes, they're quite responsive. The mental
Mm,
health one,
mm,
again, stigma is a challenge. Some of our published work talks about stigma. And
yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago, I just lost my grandmother, and
Mm,
it took a toll on me. And then I went to the HR office and I told them, and they said, "Oh no, we've got a dedicated company that we work with that we refer our employees to." And
yeah.
I was referred to a therapist at the
Wow.
cost of the company to be able to deal with that
Mm,
particular challenge. So I think,
mm,
yes, the responsiveness is there, but there will always be those other bad apples. I mean, for instance, the
yeah.
tears of that young girl who was academic, who was crying. I don't think
Ay.
someone makes up those types of tears. I think there's something going on in that
No, that's not
institution,
an act.
and there
That's not an
must be
act at
some
all.
way someone as a leader it might be called to try and answer to say, how are you responding to the needs that are being expressed here? Yeah.
Because she's broken. You can tell that she's broken. She can't even
Yeah.
help it. So she needs to say it out loud and maybe get
Mm.
help from anywhere else besides where she's coming from. And it's a
Yeah.
worry. It's a
Yeah.
worry.
But you know, I think what she has done, she's sparked a conversation,
Yes, he
because
did.
whenever you read the comment section about around the videos that have been shared about her, some people are coming out to say, well, I've got this dean who did A, B, C, and D. I've got this HOD who did A, B, C, and D, this work colleague. So at least in a way, she has every reason to be proud that in expressing and sharing her experience and her
Mm,
story, others are also gaining encouragement to speak out. Yeah.
yeah, it's a real worry. I'm
Mm.
diverting now. I forgot to ask you something. With young people, there's a new thing. I don't know whether it's new. Tell me if it's new, but entrepreneurship has always been phrased as a way to sort of
Yeah.
employ yourself to make a living. What is
Mm.
your opinion on the challenges as well as let me say, the cons, the
Yeah.
pros and the cons of that idea? Is it true, first of all, especially in an African context? Because I know you, like you said, you travel a lot
Mm.
in Africa. Are we there yet where we can say this is the time where we can comfortably motivate our students in class to tell them, you know what, you guys can go ahead and think about entrepreneurship as something else
Mm.
beyond what we are teaching you
Mm.
in the classroom?
Well, in view of the challenge that we've got of unemployment, we've got no choice. We have to come up with something. And I think
Yeah.
there are two alternatives, or three: employability, graduateness, get our young people jobs. Yes. I think
Mm.
entrepreneurship offers the second option, which I think is a great option. I think the the university ecosystem and TVET have been responding quite nicely to trying to develop student entrepreneurs. Yet there are also challenges. I mean, it's often portrayed as this is it, you should do it. You need money, you need capital to be able to start, you need resources, you need networks.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we shouldn't. But I would like to argue for a third alternative,
Yes.
which is new forms of working funnel. What we some have called it the gig economy. Some have called it, side hustles where
Yeah.
some of our students are selling perfume. Some of our students are doing all sorts of things on the side. I think what we also need to be looking at also is en route to ideals around entrepreneurship. We
Yeah.
also just say to people, start where you are with whatever you've got. If you're going to be funnel and you're asked to say, look, we would like you to design material for the TVET sector in terms of chemistry and stuff like that for extra income and all of that. That's also part of the new
Yeah.
alternative forms of working. And I think gig works provide this alternative way of thinking. And yeah, the economy is rough, it's
It's
tough, but I
rough.
think equally we must be responsive by realizing one way or the other we've got a skill that we can offer to help somebody else, to help some other organization, while also at the
Yeah.
same time benefiting ourselves for economic rent. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me something. In your work, people who have been in academia and they jump ship, they go to industry.
Hmm.
Have you met those kinds of people? And what skills do you think academia prepares such people when they go away?
I know of three people who have gone to industry, and I'll tell you why they left. 400 students teaching conducting 8 assessments, and still have to do a main exam and a
With our
supplementary.
salary. With us.
That's it, with our salary. So the working conditions were probably a deterrent. What did they like most about it? I think one of the things they would talk about is it enhanced communication skills. Being in academia, they had no choice but to stand for 45 minutes to an hour and a half in a lecture hall with
Yeah.
students. In some cases, students who are asking you questions to say,
Yeah.
tell us what is going on. There were also benefits. Some would talk about resilience. They said, I think you need to, like I said to you at the start, that you need to have resilience to be able to work at the University of Fort Hare, where
Yeah.
I'm working at the moment. And that's it.
Yes.
But tongue in cheek is also there in academia. And I think the other thing was, for some, it was just trying to search for where opportunity and passion is. And I think I think people did not these guys did not leave academia because of not
Yeah.
loving the job, but they left because of how toxic for some of them
The
had become.
environment is,
The
yeah.
environment just is rough. Yeah, is
You know
rough.
what I've
And
realized? I don't know if you've also noticed this. I've noticed that if somebody had a toxic supervisor, for instance, as a student, for some reason, instead of becoming nice, they too become toxic to their own students later on. What is the problem? What is the underlying issue that causes people to be so toxic at work? What is going on? What are the factors that
uh,
make people like that,
uh,
especially bosses?
I think it's a power thing. I think some people just don't know how to handle power. And I think I say this because when I look back and I think of moments I've gone through where that has happened, I think there's an awakening of I don't want to lead a certain way because of how I've seen somebody lead me as a person.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think we know where the solutions are. I think sometimes people want to secure and cement their progression and their interests and
Mm.
protect their terrain. And I think the misconception is you have to be nasty to be able to do that. You have to a poker face,
Yes.
not interact people nicely and all of that.
And then people say
It
stuff like, you are so nice. Like it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
why are you so nice?
yeah.
Like, I'm thinking,
That
are we
that
supposed to be
people
bad here?
they'll
Or
take
what?
advantage of you. You should be mean. You should be nasty. You
Hmm.
shouldn't smile at your
Just be
subordinates.
smiling all the time. Why?
Yeah, and I think also we need to also question the way how we measure how leaders perform in higher education. I think also the performance management systems to some of the ways these leaders they're grouped upon.
Mm.
For me, the scary part is the academia is on steroids.
Yeah.
It's on steroids, and for you to survive, there's no room for pleasantries. You have to get people to comply. You have to
But it's
get people
tough.
to do all
I
sorts
mean,
of
it's tough to
things.
act like you're tough. It's tough to act like you're mean when
Yeah.
you're not mean, because then you don't sleep.
Yes.
You know, some people don't sleep
Yes.
when they've done something wrong intentionally to someone.
Exactly. Let me give you an example. Um, and we go back to publish or perish. I was talking to someone to say it would be very interesting when superiors come to you and say, "Prof, last year you didn't publish a paper.
Yeah.
You didn't do any research. Well, whatever that means. So we are taking action upon you and blah 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 blah." The reason why the enforcement of certain targets, certain things in academia is somewhat easier and somewhat tougher in some cases is because the priorities have been mixed up. So if
Yeah,
you are late with with your scripts for marking, it's an unforgivable sin.
it is.
But the guy who hasn't published in 5 years, business as usual. I mean, the priorities are just
Yes.
not there for some people with certain targets and issues. And so what ends up happening is that I question also the morality of some of the people who lead us and
Yeah.
whether they really understand what it means to be a leader, not just in society, but in academia.
In
I think
academia,
there's a
yeah.
lot of sabotage, there's a lot of jealousy, and
Yes, and
there's a
it's
lot of
underlining, it takes a
exactly,
while for you to actually, it's
exactly,
very
to
subtle.
see it.
Takes a while
Yes,
to see it.
you get built up so nicely to say, we are on your side. You're a very productive member of the team.
Yeah.
And at the back, people really, these guys will, and at the most important time when you need their support, that's when they just
Yeah.
let you have it, to say, 1 minute you are on the top of the mountain, next minute you're right at the bottom.
Exactly. It's look,
Mm.
I learned the hard way when when I fell ill, because you just are left with a handful of people that call you, check up on you, and then it
Mm.
it dawns on you that, you know what, I'm just a number here. So, and should anything
Yeah.
happen, these people are ready for me to actually meet Jesus. So I need to fight for my life. They're ready because they will just
Mm.
advertise, and then they'll just put another person in the office.
Mm.
The job
Mm.
description will be there. The person just carries on. So it's just one of those
Mm.
things, where you now see, okay, this colleague wasn't actually a colleague, but actually a
No,
competitor.
no,
This
definitely. I think
leader
we've
is
got more
competing.
competitors than collaborators and people who are interested in us. But here's a solution, though. Somebody said to me, think of portable skills. Think of it this way, that whatever you have learned to write in your journals in chemistry and so forth, those are skills that your institution cannot hold you to say you are ours because of that. You can easily pack your bags, in as much as we are easily replaceable, but we are also difficult to replace. For as long as our hearts are in the good space, we are doing the work. And I think part of the work is mentorship. I'm excited about seeing some of my PhD students now in good positions around the country.
Yes.
And that makes me sleep better at night to know that I was part of that process of building somebody else's career to be where they are.
You are going to come back to talk about mentorship. You just need to give me a date when you're coming and talk about mentorship. My friend, we can talk here until tomorrow.
But I want to say something before you go. I want to appreciate you for something. And I'm not going to just single you out. And I know she's going to be watching this show as well. I want to appreciate you and Rola.
My friend.
Because there is an exciting time. When I joined the South African Young Academy of Science, you guys were the co-chairs.
Yes.
And what a combination you guys were.
Man.
In a way, the next generation of leaders that came after that, I think it was myself and Marie, we were inspired by what Fanelwa and Rola had done.
Man,
so
really,
I just wanted to also say to you that thank you. And I remember we were driving from Pretoria to OR Tambo. And we were talking and we were just reminiscing. And I didn't know a couple of years later COVID would happen and changes would happen. But I think you've shown a very good response to the challenge that you're facing. And we are watching you. We are inspired. And I also want to say thank you to Rola. I know she'll watch this episode.
Yes. When she used to say that. Oh, my friend, thank you. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful we met. I've learned so much from you as well. So thank you for that. When you're faced with challenges, you tend to doubt yourself and you ask yourself questions. Did I actually choose the right thing for myself to begin with? And you try to then push and push and push to get to your former self. And unfortunately for me, I can't be that funnel. I'm a newly born funnel, and with people like you in my life, I still can carry on. Thank you for that. Thank you. My friend.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes.
One last thing before you go. Kids. Because I always worry about kids just like you. Students who are facing setbacks. What advice can you give to them?
I think I would tell them that the hardship is part of the journey. I think we all have gone through periods where we were hungry, we didn't have money for fees, we didn't have ideas of what we are doing. And I would say look out for opportunities for people who help you to move from whatever circumstance that you're in to a better one. And then when you've done that, be that person for somebody else, instead of just saying I am a beneficiary, then go and create other people who will benefit from that goodwill and good cheer. And I think we have very few people who are willing to help others in as much as they've been helped a lot. And I think to all my students, I always say this: we'll get there. Graduation is coming. We'll celebrate. And I think for me, a fourth-year graduation is the most beautiful graduation because you get to meet parents who have sacrificed livestock for their child. To sell. And then
they sell it off.
And then the student comes to you and says, Prof, I want you to meet my grandma, my grandfather. And in the way that they understand the most, Bati Enkos Kakul Danam, for helping my child.
My child.
I live for those moments to know that we are changing
say that again.
Livelihoods, families.
Families, a whole generation.
A whole generation. Yeah.
A whole generation. Hey,
it's amazing.
Willie, I'm telling you. Willie, thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for the work that you do for our kids, our children. Thank you. And how you manage being a husband, an academic, a daddy, a community player, I don't know. I don't know how you're doing it. And you don't have gray hair. I don't see your gray hair yet. So it means you're still doing well.
If you zoom in, you yeah. But yeah.
No, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and keep up the good work.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll meet very soon. And
Please.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's all I have for you today. Remember to follow us on social media at the Sociable Chemist Podcast. Do not forget to click the subscribe button and to turn on your notification button as well. My name is Professor Willie Chinyamurindi, and I'll see you in the next episode.